So here we are in the timeline, and we have a whole bunch of edits that we just did on the multicam monitor. And let's actually zoom in a bit. I'm going to just hit Z on my keyboard and kind of zoom in on an area so we can see more precisely each individual clip. And I'm going to go back to V for selection tool to show you that what we have is, as you can see, each and every one of these clips reflects the changes that we made in the monitor. Whereas the sound is consistently from a single source, that being the angle 1. Sound from the original AVI. So, and we can page up and page down to kind of move across these. And at this point, I really think that this is the best place to do much more specific edits of this information. So let's just play back a portion of this and see if there's some areas that might need some work. And we'll kind of talk about then how to switch to a different angle if we want to kind of make those kinds of adjustments and how to work with that specifically in the timeline. So that's a perfect opportunity to make some changes because, as you can see, the musicians are sort of waiting for their cue, and it's not something that we really want to be focusing the camera on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cue up to basically after they've stopped to play, which is about there, and I'm going to hit Control K on my keyboard, which will cut into that clip and allow me to then right-click on the second portion of the clip that I want to change to another angle by going to the multi-camera menu and choosing from 1, 2, or 4. So in this case, I'm just going to arbitrarily choose one because I'm not sure which one I want to choose. And I'll say 1, and I'll just sort of make some visual comparisons and see what I like best. Oops. No, definitely not. Or 4. I think I'm liking 1 the best, so we'll go back to that. And then let's play that back. And let's continue to watch through and see if there are some other trouble areas that we can fix here in the timeline. And I think I'll stop just before the camera zooms away because I think that's also kind of a awkward moment that I don't want to include. So I'm using my left arrow key to cue up just to the end of that zoom. Okay, and again I'm going to hit Control K on the keyboard and go to V, my selection tool, and right click on this clip, multi-camera, and this time I'm going to try camera 2. And let's just do some comparison and see what's the best match. Let's see if there's... Okay, that's good. That's good. I like that. As you can see, as I've switched to angle 3, I've also switched the audio to angle 3, and that's a problem. So mind you, if you get into this situation, all you have to do is deselect that link because all of the audio and video are linked, and then alt-select just the audio, which will allow you to break the link temporarily. Right-click on the audio and go to multi-camera and go back to camera 1 because again we're just using the camera 1 angle for the entire audio track. Let's continue. Okay, I don't like that, so I'm also going to change this one, which perhaps it will be better with a more of a macro view. Actually, that might be nice. Nope. Let's see. Try something different. Oh, I changed my mind. I think a micro view because I think that's a nice focus in on that particular moment of the violinist playing. And it actually shows from kind of a far away to a close-up shot. Okay, and again, what we just did was we changed both the video and audio, but we'll come back to that later and change that across all of the audio tracks instead of doing it one at a time. Okay, and I also just noticed another problem area. I'm hitting H on the keyboard to kind of push back a little bit further in the timeline. So instead of doing a cut, in this case I'm going to do what's called a roll edit. The roll edit tool can be called up by N on the keyboard, and it's also located right here in the toolbar. The purpose of the roll edit, and it's sort of the opposite of a ripple edit, in that it's allowing me to maintain continuity, which in this case is crucial, and to basically change the neighboring out point of clip 1 and the in point of clip 2. So watch what happens as I affect the in-between point between clip 1 and clip 2. So I'm basically just changing where one ends and the second one begins. I can also use the program monitor as a visual indication of where I want to make that change. And that seems like a good place. Okay, let's play that back. And I'm going to refine it just a bit more. Pull back just a little bit more. Tighten it. Okay, and I'm also going to once again use the razor tool to cut away about halfway through this, because as you can see, the musician is actually waiting for his cue and there isn't a lot happening there. So let's go back to just before he begins to play and Control K, and I'm going to go back to the selection tool via my keyboard, right select, and change the multi-camera angle to something else. I'm going to page up to the head of that so I can see what the change is. That's not a good one. Let's try something else. Camera 4, which is a nice far away shot. And you'll notice as I'm playing this back, once again, that the audio is also changing to 4. So we're going to have to go back and change all of those audio clips to match angle 1. So as you can see, it really is a two-part process. You're first working in the multi-camera monitor to make initial visual and audio selections with your footage, and it's a fairly adjustable process. For example, I could go back into multi-camera monitor and actually redo these edits. Then I'll go to my timeline and do a lot more of a tighter edit to output my final sequence. So what I'd like to do is actually trim away the first, as you notice there's 2 songs, and I want to actually get rid of the first one. So I'm going to actually just choose the hand tool, H on my keyboard, and using the sound wave, the kind of quiet point. And I think it's about there. Page down to the end of that, and just make sure I stop at the right place. Nope. Okay, let's just go back just a bit, and I'm going to Control K to cut that and zoom away, Command minus, and I'm going to basically use my selection tool and drag my mouse around that whole area, right click and ripple delete. So my final goal is to go to specifically the audio track and to basically make sure that all of those individual clips are pointing to angle 1. So let's basically make sure that we have broken the link by alt-selecting that entire piece of audio, right-clicking multi-camera and camera 1. And let's double-check to make sure that that worked. I'm hitting Z on the keyboard to zoom in until I can actually see the numbers for each one of these. V to get back to selection. And let's just take a quick look to make sure that they're all in fact 1. Okay, great. And we have completed our process of editing both in multi-camera monitor and multi-camera sequence. And next we're going to look at the individual angles and make sure that all of them are correctly color balanced in our color correction lesson.